Hi friends, welcome to Willow Arts. I am Leslie. Today I wanted to work on a miniature scene in a box. What I want to do is make a whimsical tower in a forest, and I want to make that in miniature form. So that is my plan. We're going to start off using 1/8 wood to make a box. I just want a sturdy frame. I'm running out of space to store all my projects, so I think once this is done, I plan to put this up for sale, and when I do, I will link that below. Let's get started. First we have to do is glue our box together. Wood glue, tight bond, planks. Let that dry. I'm gonna give this a little bit of a backdrop. A lot of it will be hidden, forest backdrop, just so it doesn't look like just wood back there. Next, I drew a couple trees, just pencil sketch, and then I scanned those drawings into the computer, traced them, and then manipulated the points to change tree shapes and came up with a bunch of different trees. And I'm trying to do a new thing where I'm using cardboard instead of wood. I can make these and I can cut these out on wood, but I want to see if I can make them look good using the cardboard base and recycling and not wasting. And what we're going to do is paper mache these cardboard trees and add some foliage to make them look like trees. I made myself a battery compartment for my light. We're gonna thread this through here. So this is my vision. Can anybody see it? It's not the end product, but this is kind of the layout. Anybody? It's a forest and there's gonna be a tower. We got to start from the back going forward. Just giving some of these background trees a little bit of texture. And you have to do it laying down so everything sticks. This is just some fine foliage. I don't want to go too crazy because we might not see a lot of that. We're going to give these trees some paper mache.
Oh, that's kind of creepy.
That is creepy. Next, we're going to lay these paper mache trees in. So trust the process, my friends. We glued them in a mixture of hot glue just to set and then PVA glue to hold. Okay, next I'm going to add some foliage to these trees. A little alcohol to help saturate it. We're going to let this sit for a bit, and then in the meantime, I'm going to do the same paper mache technique to these two trees. Now I'm going to add some air drying clay between the layers of cardboard. This is going to give me a surface area to eventually glue foliage to. I can also use paper mache instead of the air drying clay. So this is just some of my brown and black mixed together with glue. This will just help secure everything in place and give a primer. 2-in-1. I flipped my project upside down because I want to get some greening to the top of these trees. Mixture of hot glue and regular glue. Let that dry. So this is like a multi-step, multi-day project because it takes a long time for this to dry. And in the meantime, I'm going to work on, well, technically they'll be like this. The next set of trees. I have my cardboard cutout of my tree shape. I have some wooden dowels here just to give it some stiffness. Gives a little bit dimension to the tree too, like thickness. Glue, some brown, and some black. Take our tissue paper, break it up. I like using tissue or toilet tissue. I just like the thinness of it. You can use paper towel as well. It works. Just try to get the paper towel that doesn't have texture if you care. Get your glue mixture, paint some on your tree, add your tissue paper down and paint it over. And what you want is all the wrinkles and creases that the tissue paper gives you. I don't want it to look like it's a tree with a dowel on it. You bunch it up like this, get your mixture down. You can use straight white glue if you want, and then you just paint it in the section. You can use your hands to do this if you like to get messy. I like to use a paintbrush. Obviously, I get messy anyways. Take your mixture, paint it in. Now, if you're making a tree that you need to see all sides, you just continue it around, just doing the same thing. Hiding all those corrugated areas. You can do the same thing with air drying clay. Sometimes I do the tissue paper, sometimes I do the air drying clay. Tissue paper or toilet paper is such an easy thing to come by. So it doesn't matter how bumpy and folded on it gets because it's a tree bark texture. The bumpier, the more creases, the better. It's the next day and this layer is all dry. We're gonna add the next layer of trees. I'm gonna shape up some of my background trees with some paper mache. I'm gonna work on my tower shape. Excuse me. Holy John Molies. Let's go with 6.5 inches tall. And then let's go with approximately 2 inches wide. This is gonna be the base for my tower. What I did was I scored some stones. I just want a natural stone type tower. I cut this out on my laser cutter and I wanted to have lots of windows, a door area. This is just chip box. Also scored a bunch of stone design in here, something to give me a layout of where I want to place my stones. Carefully cut out all these windows. We're going to do a mixture of PVA glue and some hot glue to assist the tacking in place. Let's get this lined up first. Base layer is all set with the windows cut out. And next we're going to add some stones in. So I cut those same stones out with my laser cutter. Put some glue down, peel the stone off my paper, and then we're going to glue the stone into place. We have our tower covered in stone. Right now I'm going to paint everything black, and then we're going to dry brush the stone. I'm going to recycle this freezer pot bag. I'm going to use the netting for the canes of the stained glass windows. So that's the black lead pieces that go between the glass. Then I'll glue cardboard frames around the netting, and then I'll add resin between the netting for the stained glass windows. So now that I have my little window, not every window is going to look the same. We're going to take our colors. If you make something similar to this, you're going to want to use a non-stick silicone tray or something so your resin does not adhere to what's underneath. So then we're going to take our window. We're going to glue it on the inside. Isn't that good? Love it. We have some pretty cool stained glass windows here. So I used my UV light on one side, then I flipped them, still all sides. So I'm pretty excited about this. Now I'm not looking for like uniform design because I want this to be whimsical. You could totally do this and make everyone like exactly the same. Always have a silicone backing that helps with like overspill, and then you can just harden it and peel up any little bit like that. Kind of fun and satisfying as well. And have your mask. Always nice to get some fresh air after using the UV resin or any resin. Beautiful day today. Now I plan to add shingles to the roof, and I'm using cereal box that I cut out on my laser cutter, just wrapping it around the circle I made.
One week later.
Oh, that caved in. Need a little glue repair here. So I spent the last week camping with the family. It was glorious, amazing. We basically sat and floated in a river for a week. It was wonderful. So now I got to figure where I'm at with this project. This guy somehow, probably from the clamps. I left clamps on and it kind of smushed there, but that's not going to matter. We're going to put our tiles over the top. All right, guys, I know this is the video that's taking the longest to get out. That's what happens in the summer when you have 3 kids. We do what we can do during the summer for getting videos out, and hopefully you guys will stick around. I love how the stained glass windows turned out. Now I'm getting excited. So I'm just gonna go ahead and paint everything black. Okay, I went through a bunch of different roof designs. Eventually went back to like just a whimsical shingled roof. I kept trying to add fancy things to it and it was just over the top. And I don't want the roof to be the primary thing you look at. We're just gonna go with a simple shingled whimsical roof. So I have some frames I cut out. We're gonna take some pieces of wood, stir sticks. We have our lights. We're gonna run those lights through here. Oh yeah, that's nice. Oh, it's looking cool, cool. My plan next is to build up the land. I'm going to cut off these parts of these trees. I want them to be the border around here. I need to build up the land in here. I might use tinfoil and maybe some paper mache. I'm going to continue to add space filler. I'm going to add some paper mache to the top of this tin foil. I'm going to add a little bit of brown paint just to my glue mixture. I want to add a little bit more trunk thickness to down here. Tissue already soaked in glue area as well. Paint on our brown paint. Teeny person, where are you? Teeny person, I'm looking for you right now. Probably vacuumed my teeny person up. My other little person had arms and legs. This guy's not the same little person. This is a big magical forest. A stone path. Up here. Okay, that needs to dry. We need a lot of drying time. A lot of drying time. While that base is drying, I'm gonna add some more tree greenery, the foliage, in the zones up here. I'm gonna start working on some of the ground layer. I've got some glue, our fine foliage. This is gonna be green and beautiful with flowers and all kinds of stuff. I'm gonna take our little baby spoon and dust it in. Once everything's dry, I'll go ahead and like bang out the extras. For now, we're just gonna give everything a beautiful dusting. Hi friends, you haven't seen me on camera much because I'm now working from one camera versus two that I used to work from, and I have to switch the camera around in different spots. So I definitely do just the overhead shot. There's my guy. I'm loving him. Gotta figure out the light situation. So right now I'm going to take this friend of ours. Pause for 1 second. One of my kids is yelling for me. Sorry, I am back. My middle is working on cleaning his room, so he had a question about something. So we have this guy. First layer of the foliage. I have a little box here. I'm going to tap it all the goods out. I thought I was going to have a lot of stuff falling out, but most of it stayed in place. Okay, so let's work on some more decor on this guy. We also have to glue the roof on. Okay, we got to do a little bit more camera switcheroo. Got to put on some favorite YouTubers and work on the foliage part. Just finished watching the latest Crescent Shay. She made a glass dress, and that was her latest video. You like sewing it all. People who have like a good positive attitude. Crescent Shay, she's really cute. Watch her. My thing is I like a lot of different crafts and I do like sewing. I don't sew on this channel. I used to make like sun hats for little kids. My kids grew out of the sun hat phase, so I stopped making them. But I used to make them and sell them on Etsy and they were so cute. Now I don't sew so much. So. As you know by my craft chaos is I like all the crafts. Currently the miniatures and the sculpting is my favorite. And what's next, guys? Let's see. We have all my foliage, tons of different stuff. So we got some PVA glue, a junk paintbrush. Let's put my apron on because I always, for some reason, decide to wipe my hands on myself. All right, takeout boxes, these plastic kind, make really great paint palettes. And if you have like too much paint, you can put the lid that it came with on and keep it and it will stay wet for a little bit of time if you're using like acrylic paint. I need to make sure I have some paint ready. Some of these rocks I'd like to bring out. Let's just continue to add foliage. Pieces of cut up embroidery thread or yarn make great miniature foliage. I have some red already cut up here. This purple tone and this purple tone. This is how you can make flocking. Wind up some string, little bits, and you just cut it. Have a little spot for them to fall into. Two tones make like a natural, because you know flowers have some two tones. If you have two tones, that's perfect. So you could take some of the flocking and just place where you want it individually, little pieces, or you can take a little bit of PVA glue, take some of your flocking, mix it together, glue on in places. You can make a colored bush out of it. You can make little pieces of flower out of it. So that's going to be like more of a red bush. If you want to have more of a flowering bush, you can just dab teeny little pieces of the flocking on your bush, and then you have a little pretty flowering bush. I picked up this thing. I think it's supposed to be drying rack type of thing. I thought this was great foliage for these little plants. So I'm just going to snip off a plant, and now I have these great little plants. Cut it down to size that I want. Anywhere we feel like we want a plant. You can also take some of these and you can cut them. They have these little things that kind of look like ferns. I'm just going to individually place these like in different spots. Next, I'm taking some of that same embroidery thread, this time in green, and I'm just mixing a little brown and green paint just to give it some variance in color on the vine. Then I'm going to take the thread and glue it to my tower. For the leaves of this vine, I have this leaf hole punch. I'm going to take some of this textured green paper I have, punch some little things out, and I'm going to take a dab of glue, dab a leaf. I'm going to take some of the pink embroidery thread I cut up and add a little touch of pink flowers on the vine. I'm going to cut some of these and place them throughout. Now, whoever ends up with this, when you get dioramas, sometimes things might get loose or whatnot. You could always dab some glue and glue it back in. Usually there's so much that you won't even notice when something falls out. My mushroom house that I've had for 2 years now maybe, and I've not had any issues with any loose greenery. I'm just going to continue to add some more foliage, some faux moss and other greenery. Another thing to use when making your faux flowers is actually use dry flowers. You can turn some real size dried flowers into really cool whimsical decor. So you just cut them to the size you want, and then you could turn, say, this could be, instead of a flower head, it could be a bush. And it's really cool. You just cover it with glue, and they've always lasted for me. They're all obviously fragile. If you're gonna be like playing with them too much, they might fall apart. But once you're covered with the glue and you're in a diorama, the diorama is not meant to be played with. It's meant to just look at. So you'll have some cool real life flowers in there that have already been dried, and they always seem to stay true to color. This is nail caviar, and I think they also make wonderful little flowers, and I just wanted a little touch of blue. These are for jewelry making. I believe they're like the clasp part of a bracelet or a necklace. I'm going to trim off the edges of it and turn it into the hinges for the door, and then I'm going to use a little head of a pin to make the doorknob. There's some hinges and a doorknob on. Now I have some of these pearlescent rocks. Now I have these little stones. They're supposed to be glow in the dark. Let's see. Ooh. That's really fun. I love it. Here's some teeny little mushrooms that I made. All whimsical forests need little mushrooms. It's hard to paint on camera. I painted the underneath a slight whitish, brownish, tannish color. I'm just going to paint the caps of the mushroom a little bit of a reddish brown. We are upside down again. I've added more foliage off camera. I've added a border and I've started to paint everything black. This little tiny robin's nest is a nod to the actual nest that was in my yard that I posted a little short about not too long ago. It was so cool to see the babies be hatched and turn into fledglings, and my kids loved it. We all loved it. It was awesome. Let's add the nest in up here. It's gonna be one of those things that if you watch this, you'll know it's there. On the side here, I made a little battery compartment. I added a little bit of a magnet to the side of the door, but it really just has a tight fit. I just made the fairlights go in the little slot kind of loosey-goosey so it's easy access to remove the batteries and replace. These types of fairlight, it's not a light you can put on forever because the batteries don't last that long, but it's a great little thing to put on here and there, and then you'll have to replace the batteries as needed. Let's finish up by painting the rest of the box. If you made it to the end of this video, please type in the comment, I see the bird's nest. Thank you all for watching. I appreciate you all. And thanks to those who have been waiting for my next video to come out. Sorry for it taking so long. After the kids go back to school again in late August, September, my videos should be a little more consistent. I usually post every 2 weeks. Thanks again. Stay tuned for the final results.